I will just talk of very significant impact that the empowerment has caused on women. We didn't know that even a rural woman can be of value like a highly educated woman. Once she's exposed, once she's given skills, she can do equally the same job. Through empowerment, we have moved from the village to continental level. We have reorganized the women in most of African countries.
As an organization, we see development as a sociocultural concept or process. And this brings in the concept of endogenous development. It's a strength-based approach, and this is what CICOD, the Center for Indigenous Knowledge and Organizational Development, champions. And this is what we use in partnership with Water Ghana in the Aaces program. We believe that people's worldviews and belief systems drive the development process. Development is not only a material thing. From the ED perspective, development is also social, is also spiritual. As Assistant Director of CICOD, the opportunity to partner with Water Ghana in the Aaces program was an exciting one. It gave us an opportunity to work in the sector that is most fundamental to people's well-being, talking about water, sanitation, and hygiene.
The first major activity that I was able to represent in my capacity as the MOH was the Aaces program on the road less traveled. It was a great honor to be part of it. And I remember during the forum, one thing that struck me about this partner Aaces was the representation that was there in that forum. From the researchers from University of Melbourne to local researchers from AMREF, from the policy makers, we from the ministry, Newark itself and Aaces, and even the community itself, and the healthcare workers, and even traditional birth workers. And this showed that this is a partner who believes in inclusivity.
We started this operation in July 2011, and we are sadly but with very good impact coming to the end in June 2016. The program has been an 83 million Australian dollar program, which focuses on the community-based interventions with particular attention to achieving change for especially the marginalized women, young people, children, and people living with disabilities. The Australian NGOs that have been involved in this include Action Aid, Anglican Overseas Aid, Australian Foundation for the Peoples of Asia and the Pacific, or AFAP, CARE International Australia, Caritas Australia, Maristopes International Australia, Oxfam Australia, Plan International Australia, Water Aid Australia, and World Vision Australia. The program has been implemented in 11 African countries through various number of partners, and these countries in Africa include Ethiopia, Ghana, Kenya, Malawi, Mozambique, Rwanda, South Africa, Tanzania, Uganda, Zambia, and Zimbabwe. The Aaces program was hinged on 3 great objectives. Objective 1, which carried the greatest weight, almost 90% of the funding was allocated to Objective 1, and it aimed at ensuring that marginalized people have sustainable access to the services they require. The second objective, ladies and gentlemen, which carried the next in weight, was around development programs, including Aaces, being strengthened, particularly in their ability to target and serve the needs of the marginalized people. The program was designed basically around 3 sectors: the sector of food security, WASH, maternal and child health, but it also had a number of other cross-cutting themes which were really critical for us, as currently everyone sees them in the SDGs. And these themes included gender equity and inclusion, as well as a focus on rights and strength-based approaches to development. And the review process included a thorough literature review, looking at the existing review and the reports that we had, including the quantitative data. It also included individual NGO reviews. We explored out the theory of change through a review workshop. The review findings found that Aaces has delivered outcomes and results that exceed original targets and expectations. Secondly, the review found that the Aaces NGO programs have collectively impacted more than 2.3 million women and marginalized people across the 11 African countries. Aaces, further, has resulted in extensive changes in access to services, resulting in measurable changes in health and well-being for women, children, youth, people with disability, and others at large in their communities.
Ladies and gentlemen, Australia has a long history with Africa. We are currently celebrating 50 years of diplomatic engagement with Kenya, which commemorates the strong and dynamic relationship we've established since Kenya's independence. Australian investment in Africa is estimated to be worth around $30 billion, and it dwarfs our investment in China, India, South Korea, and I think also Japan. Of course, a critical part of our strong connection with Africa is the long-running relationship between Australian NGOs and their in-Africa partners, a link which the Aaces program has built upon so effectively. And this brings us to our reason for being together today. With the end of Aaces upon us, it's time for both to celebrate the program and to reflect on its achievements. I wanted to particularly highlight some of the most compelling achievements and lessons from the 5 years of the program. Aaces has assisted more than 2.3 million women and marginalised people across Africa to benefit from support in food security, maternal and child health, water, sanitation and hygiene. Of these 2.3 million people, nearly 1.5 were women and girls. Almost 500,000 accessed maternal and child health services. Almost 1 million benefited from improved agricultural productivity, and over 1 million were provided with water and sanitation services. While these achievements alone are extraordinary and demonstrate the unquestionable value of the programs we supported, Aaces was also notable for several important features which made its success all the more distinctive. I would like to briefly note 3 which have been very important to my department. Firstly, the Aaces partnership approach, which is recognised as unique within our aid portfolio. Through establishing effective working relationships between NGOs and DFAT, Aaces forged a path of collaboration, mutual respect and understanding, which resulted in a strong, accountable and contestable program. Secondly, the program's emphasis on gender and disability. These 2 issues are at the front and centre of our aid program, and we cannot overstate their importance. While Aaces deliberately targeted marginalised and vulnerable people, its focus on women, girls and people with disability was especially important in the way it changed how our partners approached their work. Through these efforts, people who had previously been denied a voice have been empowered to access services and to improve their lives. Thirdly, the changes Aaces has brought to communities through an approach which builds on the numerous strengths already present. Through the work by Aaces partners, the influence of these programs on a range of stakeholders has been significant. In particular, local and district governments have willingly taken on these approaches for their own use and outreach. This respect for community-owned and driven development has positively changed the relationship between citizens and their government. Ladies and gentlemen, the Aaces program has undoubtedly been one of the Australian aid program's greatest success stories in Africa, and I'm proud to be involved in a very small way. Program and driven development.
The program was designed
in a very small way.